Okay, it is time now, so we will get started. Welcome to this week's Moxie Monday. We are going to be covering the property reviews presentation in MoxiPresent. So I am going to navigate into Moxie now. I already have it open because I am proxying as an agent because this will not work if you cannot see an agent screen. So I have Bart's profile here that I'm going to be working out of today, and then I am going to navigate up to where it says present across the top up here. And this tool that I'm going to show you is a really good way to kind of send listing information, listing comparables out to your sphere, or if you wanted to just send it to perhaps, a past buyer of a specific property or anything like that, this is a great presentation to do so. So now that I have opened Present through Moxi, you can see Bart already has quite a few presentations in here, which is awesome. We are going to create a new presentation. So up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a blue button that says Create New. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And it's going to open me up into a screen that gives me all the different presentation types that we do have access to create. So we are going to be focusing on the property review one today, which as you can see, it says create a personalized review of a property and compare to current listings and market trends. So this is a really good market snapshot tool, and it is really easy to set up as well. If you have ever set up any presentations through MoxiPresent, then you will know how easy it is to use. So I have this one selected. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue down at the very bottom. Next, it's going to ask me to choose my template. So it's going to automatically default to my brokerage templates, which is fine. You have the option of choosing my templates, brokerage templates, and Coldwell Banker parent company templates. My templates is going to be for anything that you personally have created. So maybe after, you go through this process the first time, you tweak the basic presentation and add in some pages that you like and ones that you want to include, you can then save that as a template so you can go back to it and you don't have to rebuild the same presentation every time. I'm going to go with the Coldwell Banker parent company templates today. And you can see it's going to pop up this one default option. And if you click over here to the right, there's a drop down where it says pages. And this is just going to give you a quick list of all the pages that are in the default option. Now you do have the ability to take any of these out or add any in, as I previously said, and you have the ability to do all of this once we actually get into building the template. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue since I selected that one. The first thing you're going to want to do up at the top is give the presentation a name. You can either give it the name of the property that you're going to be doing this for, or maybe a client name. I'm just going to give this one a very basic name for this training purpose. The next option that you have is selecting a listing source. So this is going to be the MLS that this is going to pull from. If you have multiple MLSs connected to your Moxi account, you will have the ability to navigate between the different options. One thing to know is that when you do select a MLS, you can't really go kind of in between those and pick different listings from different MLSs. So if you do pick, for example, the Northern Great Lakes MLS, I will not be able to pull any listings that are currently in any of the other ones. I can add them in manually, but I do not have the ability to pull them from multiple MLSs in one presentation. So now that I have that selected, there is the next option, which is going to be whether you want the classic design, which is going to be the Coldwell Banker Blue, probably the most popular, or you can do the luxury black. Depending on what type of listing it is, what type of market you're in, you can choose whichever one is more appropriate for you. And then down at the very bottom, we have kind of what we're going to go off of here. Total square foot is what it does default to. You can also select total finished square foot or above ground finished square foot as well. I'm just going to keep it on the default and go ahead and hit create in the bottom right hand corner. And it takes a minute for it to pull in, but it will populate pretty quickly for us. So now it is opening up into where we will be able to actually start building this presentation out. And the first thing that I like to point out is that if you have an MLS number, all you have to do is type it in this first box and it will populate all the information for you, which is always easy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. I had one pulled earlier. And then I'm just going to hit this copy button towards the right-hand side, and that will automatically fill in all of the property information for this property. You do have the ability to add in anything that is missing. So if there is any pieces here that did not carry over that you want to add in, you have the ability to do that. You also have the ability to change the remarks here as well. So just because this is what pulled over doesn't mean that you can't add in extra stuff if you want to. Down at the bottom, there's going to be price and sale. So we have our listing number, our MLS ID, the status of the property, the listing price, the sold price, how many days it was on the market, and the date that it was sold. So that's just basic information. But again, you do have the ability to edit any of that if it doesn't pull over properly or doesn't pull anything over for any of these boxes at all. I'm not really going to play around with adding in a ton of information since this is just for training purposes, but you do have the ability to do all of that if you would like. So I'm going to go down at the very bottom and hit that blue continue button again. And now we are in the part where it's actually going to allow us to select some of those other listings and comparables to pull into this presentation. So on the right-hand side, we have a little map view, and here on the left, we have our properties that it is currently seeing in this subject area that we have right now. Now you have the ability in this map to zoom out, to draw a new circle, to do any of that kind of stuff. You can see all that I did here was click zoom out once and it pulled a ton more comparables for me to look at. You do also have the ability to filter it by different prices, beds and baths, and also the filters. So something that is always good to know is that it defaults to sold within the last 6 months. If you are wanting to pull in tighter results but have a longer period of time that they have been sold, you can go to 12 months or even 2 years, whatever is the most accurate to what you're trying to do. Since I have some that pulled in here and we're just doing this for training, I'm just going to keep these the way that they are, but just note that you do have the ability to kind of navigate these filters however you want in order to include the comps that you would want to. So now that we kind of have some over here in our categories to the left, I then have to go in and select which ones I want to include in the report. So if I do click on any of these, it's going to put in a check mark over their image, and that means that they're going to be included in our report. So I'm just going to click a couple of these random ones. Like I said, just for training purposes, you would obviously want to be much more detailed than that. But now that I have some selected, I'm again going to hit this blue continue button down in the bottom right. Maybe. And then now it's just going to give us a quick little summary of the properties that we chose in the last step, and of course our subject property up here at the top as well. So it's going to pull in all the ones that I put a check mark next to, and it's going to give you the option to kind of view those properties a little bit deeper or change any information that you want to. Maybe you want to change a picture that was showing, or any of the information was not correct in that listing from the MLS, you can go ahead and make that change there. Now, also, if you do have listings from the MLS that is different from the one that this presentation was made in, remember I said we can only pull from one MLS per presentation. You do have the ability up here in the top right hand where it says add custom listing. You can input manually any other comps that you want to add. Maybe they were even just for sale by owners that didn't get put into the MLS. you do have the ability to add in any other listings that did not show up in your list as well. So that's very nice to do as well. Now I'm just going to leave all of these. I'm not going to mess with them too much. So I'm going to hit the continue button again. For some reason, it is not. There we go. Okay, so now it is going to pull up our last step before we actually get to see the preview of the presentation, and that is going to be the estimated pricing. So this is going to throw in a value here that is just made by the computer. Obviously, as the agents, you guys know better what the accurate pricing is for your area for that type of house or property. So feel free to change this number. You can also create a range. So if you don't want to be locked into saying, oh, this is going to be a $550,000 house, you can put a minimum and maximum range in here to give it a little bit more breathing room so people aren't as critical of that number that you do choose. So that's a nice tool. You can also add in here remarks about the pricing. So if you did change the pricing or leave it at that, you could type in why you made the pricing whatever you did, which is nice. I think people like to see that sometimes. And then again, this is just going to show us a quick little summary of our properties over here. And once we have that page set how we like it, I'm going to hit the continue button again in the right hand. And this is going to open us up into our presentation preview. So this is where we can go in and start to really edit the pages of this presentation, delete anything we don't want, add any pages we do. So to navigate through these, you're going to have to click on each one so it automatically opens up to our cover page, which is going to, of course, be branded to you as the agent, have the subject property address, and then, of course, the company name as well. Going down to the next one, we have our property summary. So again, this is just going to be our subject house, some property information on it, pretty much everything that was in the MLS. We also have a listing location map. And a lot of these pages do look very similar to if you're doing just a regular CMA, but they are ordered a little differently and have some different information on them. We have our side-by-side comparisons, and all of these good pages. Now, something to note, like I said, we can edit some of these and we can also take them away. So any page that has this pencil next to it means that we can make an edit on the page. So for example, we're on the side-by-side comparisons page and we can change in the listing section what is shown. We can also change that information for pricing, for the features, and for the neighborhood section as well. So these are all going to be different things that are going to appear in this side-by-side view. So you have the ability to kind of change what is shown there and how it is shown, which is very nice. So you do have some control over that. Now let's say that I just didn't like this page at all and I didn't want to include it in this presentation. All I would have to do is click this X over here, and if you hover over it, it says remove. So if I click that X, it just takes that page right out. So any pages that you don't think are necessary or you don't want to include, you can easily remove, which is great. Now, if you do have other pages that you want to add, maybe our blue or black book, or any other marketing materials, maybe that you've made yourself, anything like that, you do have the option up at the top to hit add page. It will give you the option to add from library, which is going to be where any of the pages that the company has created for you will be. So this is just the first thing is going to open up into the report pages. This is the basic pages of this presentation. So there is some other ones that you do have the ability to add. However, if you want to go in and see any of the blue or black book or anything like that, if you go under brokerage pages and then you click into, say, the blue book, you can click on any of these, and I would suggest previewing them first, of course, and then just clicking that add button next to where that page is. So pretty easy to add in those pages from your library. Well, I'm gonna go back to my pages. And as I said, you can also upload your own page if you have one created maybe by marketing that you would like to include. If I'm going to click this add page again and then go down to where it says create new. From here, you can either build your page within the presentation, or if you just have an uploaded PDF that you can pop in here, that is probably the easiest way. So if marketing has made you maybe an about you page or any other kind of page that you want to showcase, download it as a PDF and you can just pop it in here and have it as one of your pages as well. Now, once we're all kind of said and done here, if we have all of our pages in, they're organized how we want them to be, we've made our edits, I always like to view it as someone else would be viewing it if they received it. So up across the top, sort of right hand, more towards the middle, there's a button that says view. And if you click that, it gives you the option to either view it as a web page or how it would look if it was printed. So you can print these out too and physically deliver them to people. I'm going to show you guys the web page just for ease today. So this is going to be what it would look like if someone was viewing it right from when you sent it to them. So like I said, I always think this is a good way to really see what they will be looking at and, scroll all through here, make sure that everything shows up the way you want it to, make sure that there's no areas that you want to include that weren't previously included. I'm going to exit out of that so I don't have to look through the whole thing. And then if you did really like the way that you had this one set up and you wanted to save it as a template, that way when you did want to send out a presentation next time, you could always choose this Save as Template button down at the very bottom in that column. We would give it a name, which I would probably name Property Review Template. And then I could save it into my templates. Not going to let me save it without a name, but then I would hit save down at the bottom. And when I did go in and select my templates, when I was creating a presentation back at the very first steps, I could then select this one and not have to add in or take away pages that I wanted to. I am not going to save this because this is in Brett's profile, not mine, and I do not want him to be confused. So I'm going to exit out of that, but you do have the ability to save that as a template, and I would definitely recommend that if you do make a lot of tweaks that you want to kind of keep the same every time that you are sending this out. Now, when we get into sending, you can send this out, like I said, via email through Moxi, or you can print it. But all you have to do is hit the send button up at the very top. It will prompt you to enter in their contact, which, as we know, all of our contacts feed into Moxi from our G Suite. So type in whoever you're wanting to send it to. You can put a subject, a message in there, and then also choose how it's going to be sent. So I always like to include the presentation in a web view and then also a PDF in case they want to download it easily. But you do have the options there to kind of choose how you're sending it. And then also you always have the ability to send it to yourself as well to make sure that it goes through okay. And once you had all of that in there, all you would have to do is hit send and it would be delivered to them. So that's all that I have for you guys today. Hopefully that was something new for you guys to learn. Does anyone have any questions before we log off? Alrighty then. Well, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week.